In this video, we'll be ranking every single Apex Legends weapon from D tier to S tier. So what weapons are really bad, which weapons are kinda in the middle, and which weapons are really good. Let's find out. The first tier we're going to look at is the D tier weapons, which consist of 2 weapons. The first we're going to look at is the Charge Rifle. The Charge Rifle nerf coming into this season was a huge one, and has made it the worst weapon in the game, and it's not even close. The Charge Rifle was absolutely abysmal from every range possible. Now they have to wait to the very end of the charge up to actually hit somebody, it is way too slow. Every single sniper and marksman rifle are a better long range weapon. Not only that, but you're more likely to do more damage with an R301 or a flatline than a charge rifle from 100 meters away. It is that bad of an option. The next weapon is no surprise, it is the P2020. This weapon has always been the worst weapon in Apex, but I think this season the charge rifle takes the cake for the worst one. Back to the P2020, there are multiple reasons why this weapon has always been so bad, but the worst reason by far is how slow it shoots. It is such a slow weapon, and you're better off picking nearly any other gun in the game other than this. With hammer points, the P2020 probably turns into a C tier weapon, but then again it is still a very bad option. We're now moving on to the C tier weapons, where we'll start it off with the RE45. This weapon, and I'm sorry, is not a good weapon at all. Its recoil is very unforgiving for how quickly it shoots, and it doesn't do enough damage for how big the clip is. If the bullets did at least 1 or 2 more bits of damage, or the mag size was increased, the weapon would be more viable. But when you can just carry another light weapon like a Kara or R99, there is really no point. Just like the P2020, however, if it were to have hammer points, it would be a tier above. The next C tier weapon is actually going to be the Mozambique. This weapon actually isn't that bad, it's just not as good as the rest of the shotgun. However, if you were to get this gun fully attached with a purple shotgun bolt and hammer points, it could actually be a decent weapon. Where the Mozambique lacks, however, is you need to hit every single pellet for it to be a viable weapon. Just miss a couple of pellets here and there during the fight, it turns into a weapon that you're better off just not even using. LMGs are one of the worst weapon classes in the game, and it is no shock that the Spitfire is down at C tier. For me, there's only one viable LMG in this game right now, and it is definitely not the Spitfire. This weapon just does not seem to shoot straight for some reason. It also shoots way too slow, and that's why it's outclassed by any other weapon type. LMGs are used for medium range fights, yet you find assault rifles are the better weapon types, especially with the Spitfire, as it is just a really slow R301. Going on to the last C tier weapon, we have another LMG in the Devotion. The Devotion does not have the same struggles as the Spitfire, but still finds himself in the same category. This is because without a turbocharger, this weapon is absolute garbage. It takes a stupid amount of time for this thing to charge up, and by the time you actually charge it up, you will find yourself on the floor. If you were to miraculously find turbochargers every game, the Devotion might be a viable weapon, however. Just beware of its insane recoil as well. We're now onto the weapons in the B tier region. These are weapons that aren't too good, but aren't that bad either. To start off the B tier weapons, we are going to continue the LMG theme and include the Rampage. This weapon has the Spitfire's problem, but even worse, as it shoots even slower. It honestly takes an age to down anybody with this weapon. However, the one thing that does redeem it for the Rampage is you can charge it up with a Thermite. A charged up Rampage does offer a lot more than the other 2 LMGs, so it is a little bit higher. The EVA 8 is the next weapon in the C tier range. This was a weapon that I always thought was bad, but after using it a little bit more, I can see that it has more quality than I first thought. If you can manage to hit majority of your pellets every single time you shoot this weapon, you could be in for a treat. However, if you were to hit a really low number like a 7, you could be in for a bad situation. I think if this weapon just had a little bit more damage with each pellet, you could find it in a really high tier. Our first marksman in this tier list is going to be the G7 Scout. The G7 Scout was once regarded as a very good weapon in this game, but since then there has been a lot of weapons that have taken its place, and it's fallen down the pecking order. Still a very good weapon, however, it just doesn't seem to have the damage output as the other marksmen do. However, it can still be a fairly decent weapon. We're going for back-to-back marksmen, and we're going to have the triple take straight after the G7 Scout in the B tier region. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the triple take's damage, however it is a pretty slow weapon. If you don't want to charge up the triple take before shooting it each time, then you'll be able to rapidly fire it. But in doing so, you reduce the damage that you do to the enemy. So it doesn't matter how you shoot the triple take, you seem to be having a negative every time you shoot it. I think if the triple take would charge up a lot quicker, it could be one of the best weapons in the game. The next weapon in this tier list is one of my personal favorites, it's the Sentinel. If you charge the Sentinel up and use it as a shotgun, it is honestly one of the most fun experiences you'll have playing this game. However, doing this tactic, it is so unforgiving, so if you miss one bullet, you are pretty much in a dangerous situation. It's not a bad option from long range, however, it just does not shoot quick enough. I understand that the sniper is a bolt action sniper, but what's the point of running it when you can run another sniper that does more damage anyway? Probably the first controversial weapon in this tier list, I'm putting the Alternator at B tier. Now don't get me wrong, the Alternator is not a bad weapon by any means, and with disruptor rounds, it it can be easily A tier, but it just shoots way too slow for an SMG. The most important thing about an SMG is the kill time, and the kill time on an alternator is not very good at all. The alternator is a fan favorite because it has a huge mag and it has no recoil whatsoever, so anybody can use it. But with that comes with a bad kill time. Like I said before though, if you have disruptor rounds on the alternator, it can be a very good weapon. The L-Star came out the care package, and finally it is not a bad ground load weapon. It seems to be a lot easier to control and has a pretty good damage output. However, pretty good only lands you in B tier. It still needs to do a little bit more damage to be in a higher tier, and as an LMG it should be better from long range. However, you mostly find using this gun short range. Using it from far away, you still have way too much recoil, and the damage drop off is pretty insane. Another weapon a lot of people do like is the Havoc, but I'm sorry, I'm putting it at B tier. It is a good weapon, but I do feel like there's a lot of other better weapons out there that there's no point in running the Havoc. Again, like a lot of weapons in these tiers, you need the hop-up, which is a turbocharger, to make this weapon function the best it can. But relying on hop-ups in game when they're extremely rare is just not the way forward. In the Havoc's defense, without a turbocharger, it can still be a very deadly weapon as it does some serious damage. But like I said at the very start, there is no point in running it as there are better weapons out there in the same range. And the final weapon in the B tier range is going to be the Mastiff. Now I know a lot of people do like the Mastiff, and it is a very good weapon, but the weapon spread is just not a good spread for a shotgun. Unless you are extremely close to the enemy, you are never going to hit all your pellets. That's not because it's a skill issue, that's because the spread of the bullets is a quite literal horizontal line. If the spread was a little bit different, this weapon would find itself at least A tier. Speaking of, we are now heading into the A tier weapons of Apex Legends. The first weapon will be a bit of a surprise to most, but it has fallen down most people's preferences. It is the Flatline. There's actually nothing wrong with the Flatline, it's just that there's other assault rifles in the game that are much better. It is a very strong weapon from long and mid range, however from short range you will probably find yourself outgunned. The next weapon is actually going to be the Flatline's partner in crime in the R301. It's always been a debate which gun is better, the Flatline or the R301, and for me the R301 is the better weapon. Yeah, the Flatline does do more damage than the R301, but the R301 is both easier to control and better without attachment. Either way, just like the Flatline, it has fallen out of the meta because of the other assault rifles being better in this game. Also, you have to craft the R301 right now, so it has become a much harder weapon to obtain. The next weapon is going to be a shock to a lot of people. It's going to be the longbow. Now, I wasn't a fan of this weapon until I used it for this video, and oh my god, it hits like a truck. It does so much damage for how quickly you can fire this weapon. My suggestion is if you're going to use a weapon from long range, I suggest using either the longbow or another weapon I will disclose soon. The only reason this weapon is so low in A tier is because snipers aren't really a meta. But for a non-meta weapon, this one definitely is really good. Another A tier weapon is a weapon that I truly like a lot, is the Volt. It is truly a really good weapon in this game. It has insanely good recoil control and does a lot of damage. The only reason why it's not above the other SMGs of the game is because its kill time is not as high. And well, if there's one thing that you want to do in this game is kill your enemy quicker than they can kill you. I think the letdown of the Volt is it doesn't fire as quick as the other SMGs, but it is still such a good weapon, there's hardly any difference anyway. If you like the gun, I would suggest just keep running it. For A tier, we have an enemy of the Apex games. It is going to be the Nemesis. Everybody hates to die to this weapon as it is so good. Not only is it good, but it's actually incredibly easy to use as well. Especially if you were to charge up this weapon, it will be an absolute devastation upon your enemy. One thing you do need though is a lot of attachments to this weapon. So if you do have a hard time finding attachments for the Nemesis, you're probably not going to have as good a time as you thought you're going to have. This next weapon is a weird one because I don't personally like it too much, but I can recognize why it's so good. It is the 30-30 repeater. Just like the longbow, it can do so much damage for how quickly you can shoot it. And I personally think both weapons are equally viable. That is besides one factor that I believe the 30-30 repeater is slightly better at close range. Overall though, the 30-30 does a really good job for the range that it's supposed to function from. Just make sure you're getting a sight for that weapon. Now we're getting into the really good weapons of the game. It is the car that is going to be the next weapon in the tier. The car is such an awesome gun. You can use both heavy and light ammo, same with the mags. It's easy to control and does a fair bit of damage. As much as I think it is a really good weapon, I can't put it S tier because I don't think it's good as the other SMG that's left. But if you were to run the car, I would have absolutely no problems with it as I think it is an extremely good gun. One of my favourite weapons this season is the Peacekeeper, and I'm going to have to put it at A tier. It is by far the best shotgun in this game. A lot of people people tend to think the Mastiff is better, but that is not even a close debate. The Peacekeeper's bullet spread is compact, so you can actually do a lot more damage from further away than the Mastiff could. The Peacekeeper is the second best poke weapon in the game right now, so I could not put it S tier. But it is a great weapon that does so much damage each time you hit somebody. The last weapon in A tier before we head over to the S tier weapons is going to be the Bocek. The Bocek is such an insanely good weapon. It shoots insanely quick and does so much damage. The only thing taking it away from S tier is its usability, as a lot of people tend to find this weapon very hard to use. But trust me, once you learn to use this weapon, there will nearly be no other long range weapon you use. It is definitely a weapon that you want to pick up. Alright, now we're into the S tier weapons, the best of the best, and we're going to kick it off with the Hemlock. This weapon still feels like a care package weapon for when it was in the care package a while back. If you hit just a couple of bursts in a row, you will down your enemy no matter their shield. That is insane to think about considering it is a ground loot weapon. One thing that is really good for it is that it's actually really good from close range too, as the hipfire spread is very minimalistic. So not only is it insane at long range, but it actually is really good from close range too. Definitely the best assault rifle in the entire game. Another S tier weapon is going to be the Wingman from the care package. The Wingman has always been a fan favorite in Apex due to its versatility and its damage output. Now that the damage has been increased on the Wingman, there is really no stopping it. I mean, every single time you hit somebody's body, you do 50 damage. You can take down enemies within a second, which is actually insane for a secondary. One of the best weapons in the game, and a weapon you need to be picking up every single time you see it. Next is going to be the classic of Apex Legends. It is going to be the Kraber. The Kraber is probably something everybody rushes to whenever they see it in the care package. And with good reason too, as you can down enemies with just a single shot. I mean, to be honest, I think we're all expecting the Kraber to be put in S tier every single time somebody does a tier list. The only fault the Kraber has is its short range usability, but its long range usability is that good it kind of cancels it out anyway. One of the best and forever will be. In my opinion, the second best weapon in the game is both mine and probably 99% of the player base's favorite weapon is the R99. This weapon is absolutely animalistic and is definitely the best ground loot weapon in the game. It has the quickest kill time in the entire game, and there's only one downfall for the R99, which doesn't have it at the top spot for me. And that downfall is its mag size. If you do not find a mag on the gun, it can be pretty hard to try and one-clip somebody. But in saying that, a common mag is really not that hard to find in this game, and it is no shock that it is most people's favorite weapon in this game. And now for the best weapon in this game, it is going to be the Prowler. For me, both the R99 and the Prowler are the exact same, but I have the Prowler above the 99 because it already comes fully attached. The Prowler shoots absolute beams, and it will tear any enemy in your path. The Prowler will give you the easiest one clips of your lives, and you will get so many wins using this weapon. For me, it is the best weapon in the game, and I think it is fully deserved. What do you guys think about the weapons tier list that has been made? Did I get any weapons correctly? Which weapons did I get wrong? What are your thoughts about the weapons in Apex Legends? But anyways, that has been my Apex Legends Season 19 weapons tier list. I've been Northy TV. Hopefully you guys stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.